My name is Shannon Crooks, and I'm in my 24th year of teaching. And I was fortunate enough to really be able to kind of hop on Writable when they first started. And I've been working with it for quite a while now, and utilizing it in my classroom to support both my instructional practices, and as well as kind of letting my students really learn how to provide feedback for one another as well. So there are a couple of different tabs that you can kind of work in within Writable, and this guide and grade tab, this allows you to see what the students are doing as they're sitting in your classroom in real time, and you can provide feedback to them in real time. So you can see, some of my students have a little bit more done than others, based on what they were able to get accomplished in that day in this writing process. And then as they're sitting in my classroom and they're writing, I can just hit this little request feedback bubble, and it's going to give me AI generated feedback that's very specific to what that student wrote. So this is that same assignment with the AI feedback generated. So we can see that the feedback is very specific to the student paper. It says that they show a good understanding of the character's empathy, that they could benefit from a deeper analysis, more explicit connections between the evidence and the thesis, provide more detailed explanations of how each piece of evidence supports their claim. What I love about this is it gives me the opportunity to edit it. So I can go ahead, I can click right into the edit section, and then I can choose to add the scaffolds and the support that I think that each student might need. And then when I'm ready, I can send that comment straight to the student, and they're going to go ahead and get that comment in real time as they're writing and be able to take that feedback and apply it to what it is they're doing. You also have the ability to request AI feedback all at once for your students, and then to send that feedback all at once as well. So I love this ability because, especially nowadays, I'm the only English teacher in my school. So this kind of gives me like a colleague in my pocket, somebody that I can bounce ideas off of. If I'm unsure of something, it gives me support and scaffolds for the feedback that I'm giving students. It's not just about saving time. That's a great aspect of this, but it also lets me bounce ideas off of an AI and kind of have other eyes, per se, that are looking on student work. This was a 7th grade paper. They were writing an argumentative essay where they had to do some research and pull some evidence. And I allowed the AI to generate scores. So we have our little light bulbs here, and these are the scores that the AI generated based on the rubric that I created. It has comments here. I haven't sent the comments to the students yet, which is why they're kind of in those boxes there. What I use this for is I give feedback in a lot of ways. So sometimes my feedback isn't always written. Sometimes it's taking the time to have that conversation, that conference with a student. So I can run the AI, let it score the student's paper, and then use where those scores are to really focus the conversation that I'm going to have with that student into which skills they need that support with. And this feature is the AI and originality check that's embedded in Writable. And this is something that's really great. And I show all of my students this so that they understand that these features are there as well. I think it's really important that they know that it's not a gotcha, that they understand that this is there and that, in fact, they can run an originality check on their own papers as well. And this just lets us know how similar their papers are, if they're citing their work, if things might be AI generated, as well as kind of looking at some of their keystrokes and other elements and seeing what likelihood it is that they wrote the paper themselves. You would have a red, green, or I believe a yellow circle here that would just kind of alert you what the likelihood is there might be an issue with the student's writing based on whether huge blocks of writing suddenly showed up, like a copy and paste, how often it was edited, those sorts of things. And then the similarity brings us to Turnitin. And here we would see, where they pulled all of their evidence from, and it highlights it on the paper. And we also see this AI percentage. And this was really interesting to me because the student actually wrote about AI. And they purposely used AI to generate part of their paper. And it did show up as, AI generated their counterclaim in this essay. But I like this because it allows me to have those conversations with students when I do suspect that maybe they're not using AI appropriately about, hey, okay, why did you use it? How can you use it appropriately? Because I do think that's important. It can be used appropriately. And so this really helps me start to have those conversations that especially middle school students might not know how to start or have otherwise. I feel like as a teacher, and especially when I'm working on writing, we're always so focused on improving students' writing and where they can grow, and so growth oriented that the feedback tends to be always on where you can improve, especially when we're giving really specific feedback. And one of the things that I love about the AI generated feedback through Writable is that they give really specific positive feedback. So this was an interesting little assignment. It was an assessment actually that I built for my students. But the feedback that you can see right here that was provided for my students that were really successful, I loved it. It was so specific. I feel like it's empowering to students to build that confidence. And when we do that, then they're going to go into their next assignment feeling like, you know what, I can do this and it's not impossible. And they're not going to kind of get stuck with the I can't write and I don't know what to do. So allowing AI to really give that specific positive feedback is great. It's a time saver for me. I can focus on where students need to grow. And it really is going to show in students' confidence in my classroom.